Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
Yo. We have a visual.
Nice. Well, sorry.
No, you're looking clean, man. You get shaved up today. I like it.
Yep. We had to get clean for the conference finals.
Nice. Congrats on the win. I bet you guys are excited.
Oh yeah. It actually got spoiled for us because we were watching the game and the bar down the street was watching the game, but their screen was like 3 seconds ahead of ours. So
they started screaming.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to blame it on me when I said, here comes a 3-ball. And then like 2 seconds later, a 3-ball came.
Yeah, you have some blame too.
Yeah. I was just guessing.
All right. Today is Friday, May 24th. Welcome everybody to The Crossover. And we start with announcements.
Yes.
Are there any? There are. There's a pretty sweet announcement this week.
Some people don't like it. I'll just start there. Okay.
That's always good.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to see what you think about it. We'll get your live reaction. Okay, so on sales history and throughout the app, we added typo recognition. So like if I type in Michelle Jordan, wasn't that the one you'll get Michael Jordan results because it's like one letter off. So we're basically like letting people make a typo. Like if you switch letters or you forget a letter or you switch out a letter, things like that.
Yeah.
And some people don't like it because like if you say Kirk, if you just say Kirk and you want to do Kirk Cousins, it'll give you results for Dirk because it's like, oh, you swapped one letter.
Yep.
And, obviously the fix is like, we'll just type Kirk Cousins and you're fine. I go back and forth. I tend to prefer the typos because I type out long queries and I get what I want anyways. The other thing, this is something that you came up with, so I'm going to show this really quick. We put in a way to get rid of that. Let me do an example here. Sorry, I'll turn it back around. You can jump in and give a take whenever you feel like it. If you type in WNBA Prism, you'll actually get NBA Prism. That was one, like people were looking for WNBA. So there's a couple ways to do it. We obviously have support Boolean search queries, so you can always just like exclude stuff. But the other thing we did was if you put an exclamation point anywhere in the query, it'll ignore all that stuff and just take exactly as you type things. So that's like our little secret code. If you ever want to just get back to normal typing the way you like to do it, and you like to type long queries and you know what you're looking for, just put an exclamation at the beginning and you can do it however you want. So that's like our video game, sort of like for all the millennial video game players, that's like the secret code.
Yeah, that's the cheat code. So if you want to just have a very strict search where you will only get results for exactly what you type, just put an exclamation mark at the beginning and you will get you access a secret search bar.
We put this little thing, a little link next to sales, and it brings up a full explanation of all this stuff. So this starts with the paper that you wrote on how to write strong search queries, like very, very accurate queries to get exactly what you're looking for. So once you learn how that works, then we teach you about the synonyms we did last week. Then we teach you about the typos and the different cases that it handles. And then we teach you about the secret mode and then going through like some of the filters and what those mean. So the sales history has been a focus of ours for a few weeks now. Sorry, I'm trying to get this camera. Because we know that's just like the biggest thing for people right now, just like having the sales history be super quick, super accurate, user friendly. So we're just kind of like putting all of our focus on that right now. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And maybe there's a way that we can make it even more seamless to get access to the strict search bar if that's what people want to do.
Yeah.
So like Perimeter says maybe consider putting a toggle option for typos where a user can set a default to ignore. So yeah, so maybe there's something like that in the works, but like
yeah.
I just think that when you're looking for a grain of sand in a big pile, it's nice sometimes to be able to see some of the other pieces of sand in that pile because you might be looking for the wrong grain of sand.
Yeah. I think the synonyms is way more important because you and I know what synonyms all these different auction houses use, especially like for autograph and refractor and X-fractors and stuff like that. So we just sort of like take that guesswork out and make sure you get the proper stuff. I can understand the typos one though. We can maybe do a toggle for the typos. We have a setting in sales history where you can like hide the CL value if you don't want to see it. Maybe it's something similar to that where it's like a setting where you don't want to deal with the typos or something.
Sure. Yeah. So overall, though, I think the feedback's been pretty positive on this. Yeah.
It's funny because one of the more common things, I don't know if you saw this, Christina, but one of the more common things we saw in customer support was like, I barely mistyped something. I'm getting no results. And now it's like the opposite. So can't win.
Can never, it's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
All right. And any other announcements card letter related? I don't think so. No. All right. What about mail days? Any mail days?
We don't do mail days anymore, but I think we should start reviewing pastries on the show, just exclusively.
What kind of pastries?
Just like, box desserts, things like that.
Oh, I don't do box desserts.
Christina bakes her own.
She was like serious about that.
Yeah.
She was like, wait a minute, are we doing?
That was the most excited I've ever heard her on the crossover. We're going to review pumpkin bread with cream cheese? All right.
What was that voice?
I don't know. It's my Carl Anthony Towns voice.
Uh-huh.
All right. And then one quick thing we had was from Drake's PC. He said, I appreciate Cardboard Chronicles updating the sales history search function in Card Ladder so that when I type in, quote, football goat, all the Peyton Manning cards appear.
He messaged me and he's like, it's great that when I type LeBum, I get LeBron results. And he's actually wrong. That's too big of a typo. So nice try.
Wow. So he's had a couple of bites at the apple trying to get a joke off on this one. All right.
Yeah. Well, if we want to start comparing Peyton to LeBron, let me know. I'll be there for that.
All right. So the first topic of the night, we have 3 categories, or we've got 2 specific topics than the rest. First topic of the night is the headline sale of the 1984 star Michael Jordan PSA 9. So before we get to the 3 questions on it, I'd like to show the card. This is the exact copy of the PSA 9 that sold. And it is a PSA 9. It is a population of 3 with none higher, as you can see on its card letter page. And this was a private sale, and it was reported by Darren Ravel for Collect. You're showing the pop growth there, Josh?
Which we've tracked. So we can show that in July of 2023, this was a pop 1, then it became a pop 2, and then it became a pop 3 in December of 2023. So the population has tripled.
All right, so the population has tripled. The prior sale of this card was, you can see it here on the card letter profile, it was with Golden on September 10th, 2022 for $444,000 when the card was a pop 1, a PSA 9 sold. And now it's $925,000 for a pop 3. And then the other thing I wanted to note before we get to the questions is Card Ladder, we did not personally vet or verify this sale, but we do have it in our database because it was reported by Collect. And in their article, Darren Ravel writes, quote, the buyer and the seller wish to remain anonymous, but Collect reviewed bank statements that confirmed the transaction brokered by Acquire, a new business of Jesse Craig, who frequently dealt with high-end deals in his last stop at PWCC. So Ravel says that they reviewed bank statements, and it's Jesse Craig and Acquire whose reputation is on the line when they're disclosing this sale. So that's the credibility and the background on the sale. And now we'll get to some questions, unless you wanted to say anything first. Okay. So first question is from Bleecker Street Cards, who says, how would you spend your $925,000 budget on Michael Jordan cards?
I'd buy like 2 Star Rubies. Like a PNG Red and a Star Rubies.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't go there to the Star myself or to the Fleer. All right, Tasty Card Sandwich says, have the people behind the Star MJ transaction revealed themselves? Feels like WADA. Now, I don't know why this guy wants them to take their clothes off, personally. I think they should just keep them on. Maybe he means, why haven't they named themselves?
Yeah.
Why don't we know that? And you know what, Josh? I want to know what you think about this, but I really would have liked at least one of the parties to be named, and preferably the buyer. I understand that there are lots of transactions that happen under different levels of anonymity. You know, if you send a card to auction with eBay and it's a consignor selling it, then we're never going to know who the seller or the buyer was. We're just going to know who the broker was, the intermediary. But in this case, when you're dealing at the highest end, especially, although that doesn't really make that big of a difference, but when you're dealing with basically $1 million card, you're dealing with a huge outlier comp, and you want the sale to be publicized, I just think there's a certain obligation to say who you are and say why you want it publicized. You don't have to, and the sale's legitimacy doesn't waver based on that lack of transparency, but it would make me feel more informed about this purchase and help me understand how to think about it better if we could have a little closer look into what was the thinking, why did you pay more than twice the last comp, do you own any other copies of this card, will we be seeing other copies of this card for sale soon? These are some of the things I worry about, Josh.
Yeah, I would either, like, if I was going to go the route of being anonymous, I would demand that, you know, like there's no middle reporting of it. Like, they obviously wanted to be publicized because they went to Ravel collect, so they wanted it publicized, but not enough to. I guess I wouldn't do this like in between thing. I would go all the way or to make it completely hidden. Exactly.
Like, you know, it's just kind of, it's a private sale. All right. So publicizing it, why? Why is the sale? But now somebody could come along and say, look, the sale's being publicized because it's a huge sale for the market. You know, it increases confidence in the space overall. Maybe the buyer and the seller didn't want to publicize, but Jesse and Brock and Acquire did want to publicize it. We don't know that. I don't know who wanted it publicized, but usually in situations like this, my instinct is the person who wants it publicized is the person who wants to capitalize off this comp.
Yeah.
For selling future cards.
Yeah, the sale doesn't make a ton of sense because the population has tripled, and I think there was some thought that like it might stop increasing, but it's tripled in the last less than a year, like the last 10 months. Yeah. And PSA has only been grading these star cards for what, like a year now, a little over a year. Like, there's basically no way that it's going to hold at 3. It'll probably creep up towards 10 as we hit the limit of infinity, right? Like, this is just a bit of a confusing price to pay, but like you said, if I was the buyer and I had good reason, then that would make me feel better about it as well.
Yeah. Also, there's nothing wrong with keeping a private sale private either.
Yeah, but
just don't report it.
Right.
But then it doesn't make sense, like, that you want to have the comp.
I know.
Like, if you want it private, then just shut the fuck up and be private. And if you want it known, then grow a pair and put your face out there, your name out there, and be like, yeah, I was the one who bought it, or I was the one who sold it. This reeks of tax evasion or some shit.
Okay, all right, that's a step too far. But yeah, she must more succinctly said what I was tap dancing around.
Did you get the image from Collect?
The pack that slaps says Lent is over. Yes, I did.
You did? Okay.
Yes, I did. I did get the image from the Collect article.
My head already hurts. We're just you haven't even gotten me to Ann Edwards, and I'm already.
Well, we are talking about Michael Jordan, so.
Oh well, I mean they look alike, right?
Right. All right. Final question on this topic from Splendid Sports. If the 1984 star Michael Jordan had a better photo, how much more iconic would it be? What other cards can you think of where the photo holds it back from reaching its full potential? So here was the photo. Michael Jordan grabbing a rebound.
Is this a bad take? But this photo is awesome. It's like from his rookie year, and it's like a very organic, like in-game photo. It looks awesome to me. Maybe I don't get it.
I'm honestly not against the photo either. Like I don't look like we're maybe we're doing like the indie band thing where it's like we're so familiar with all of the other music that we need something a little different to impress us. Because the alternative point is just give me a picture like the '86 Fleer where he's flying through the air dunking the ball. You know?
Yeah, but like this is normally what you get with vintage. So like you vintage guys should be thrilled. It's an in-game photo of like kind of like a random moment where it almost is so random that it just looks like a more authentic, organic in-game photo. Where in an era where you didn't really get that kind of thing. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, you just showed the Kareem Tallboy rookie image, which is just like a staged photo of him shooting basically a free throw.
Well, it's like we're whining about Victor Wembanyama being in front of a state, whatever, and then now we're whining about in-game photos. I don't know.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of this. This is the 1992 Fleer team leader insert for Michael Jordan, where he's also grabbing a rebound. I mean, that's two pretty awesome action shots of him rebounding.
Yeah, it's almost like if MJ's not dunking on the card, it stands out more because he's always dunking.
Right. Yeah, and you know what? There are some players, LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan come to mind, where pretty much anything that they're doing on a card looks awesome.
I like the in-game photos, and I'm not super picky about it.
All right. The other topic that we had is the Sharpie colored PMG.
Can you show the Beckett slab and then describe it if possible?
Yeah, I will show it. I do have it pulled up here.
Yeah.
All right. So this card came up for sale on eBay. It has a Beckett slab that says 1997-98 Metal Universe Precious Metal Gems number 23 Michael Jordan Authentic Altered. And I did sorry, let me keep showing the card for a second. I did look up that cert when this card first hit eBay, and it was recently graded. It was graded about a month or two ago. All signs indicate that this is not a counterfeit slab. This is just the slab that was graded. And there's some obvious problems here. For example, usually this portion of the logo is not red or green like the PMG. Usually that part is the metallic color of the base card. And then also as you just kind of zoom in on certain parts of the card, it's not a clean crop of the player. So there, Josh has pulled up.
Is he below him to the left? It's like darker, and the real red PNG is pretty much just like a solid red.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I was skeptical of the Sharpie theory because it's a Sharpie. Like, why would a Sharpie take on all the different colors of the background and stuff? Like, I honestly thought the idea that it was Sharpied was ludicrous. But then MK Sports Cards did an experiment where he Sharpied a common from the set and using red Sharpies. And Yeah, you can see that it's possible.
So isn't this similar to the sticker auto problem of last week, where like you're trying to get around it by having Beckett slab it, and then with the details of the slab being like, this isn't real,
Right?
but we're still going to slab it. It just is like another shady. We're just throwing ways on the pile to customize cards and make it shady.
Yeah. I mean, this is a degree beyond that, a few degrees beyond that. This is just straight up deception.
Like Beckett's got to stop slapping this stuff. They need to just like stop. This is ridiculous.
The meme's about to color his prisms black. Yeah, I mean, this is the fact that got slabbed. If it truly is Sharpied, and like I don't know if it is or not, but there's a lot of things that were wrong with that card. It didn't have any serial number on the back, obviously. The coloring on the front side was wrong. There's a lot of problems with this card, and if that is Sharpied, I mean, that's one of the biggest blunders I can think of in the encapsulation and authentication of a card.
It says precious metal gems on the slab. Like, it literally is like, this is the real PMG. It just was Sharpied to make it like, what?
Yeah.
How could you look at that card and be like, this is the altered PMG? There's no serial. It makes no sense. This is just horrible decision.
Right. So the two questions that came in on this, one was from the Hustle Collector, who said, what are your thoughts on BGS grading an altered/colored 1997 metal base card as a PMG red? And GM Collectibles says, let's talk about Sharpie colored PMGs. So, a gross oversight, obviously, and if it is indeed a Sharpie colored card, we're going to find out a bit more because this card will be authenticated since it was a purchase through eBay. So that will, I think, give us a definitive answer on what's going on with this card. So we'll just wait and see what happens from that. But
let's hope they don't send it to BGS to authenticate it.
Yeah, BGS. I'm loyal on a level to the BGS brand, to what Dr. Beckett builds, obviously, but I got nothing. That's really. And then speaking of like mistakes, and then mistakes being rectified, which I hope BGS can find a way to rectify this. There was an arrest made in a topic that we covered last week, which was the $2 million shipment to the hotel in Ohio. 55 of the 57 cards were recovered, and there was a sting conducted, and there's an individual in custody related to it, and the individual is formerly an employee of the hotel. I'm recounting this from memory from reading the Sports Collectors Daily article about it, but
I thought it was 52 of the 54.
That could be it. I might have.
There were two cards in the 50s. There were two cards not covered.
There were two, but so that's massive. that's massive that those cards got recovered with still two outstanding. And apparently the case was broken open by the guy trying to sell two of the cards to a local card shop.
And look, the guy who did it was also the star of Making a Murderer on Netflix. Same guy.
Yo, that's a crazy mugshot. Not that any mugshots ever look good, but just a little follow-up.
Good news.
What's that?
Decent news. That's a decent ending there.
It is, yeah. I mean, we were tough last week, and now, well done to everybody who held out. And I'm sure it was very difficult for people involved with this to not make comments while the authorities were pursuing this, and it got worked out. So, and the bad guy got what was coming to him.
Who doesn't love a good sting? Like every good movie has a sting in it, doesn't it? That's just how it's done.
How about the movie The Sting? That's a great movie from the 70s with Redford. Is that right?
Yeah,
that's a great movie.
You gotta just catch the bad guys with a sting.
Shout out to your dad who made us watch it.
Yep, indeed. Shout out to my dad. All right, let's get to all the other questions. We had like a handful of NBA questions. Not any questions on the topic that we wanted though.
Well, that's because it's too. They didn't have time. It just ended.
It did just end. So look, let's do a little NBA talk real quick, and we'll ease into that topic. So, the Bouvier wants to know, what was the bigger slight? Jaylen Brown not making an All-NBA team, or Domantas Sabonis not making the All-Star game?
Probably Sabonis.
Exactly. I think Jaylen Brown is more popular in the hobby, but Sabonis had a top 5 year according to the spreadsheet awards, so that's a bigger
Sabonis. I'm pulling up some of the stuff because I have another wild. Sabonis finished top 5. He's not even box plus minus. Oh, there he is, number 7. Okay, you're right. I didn't see his name.
Yeah, he had a really nice statistical season.
Number 10 in win shares per 48 and 11 in PER.
Cage says Sabonis is great. Jokic is just Sabonis colored with a Sharpie.
You can see the other way around.
Yeah. It's all right, though. It's still good. That was a nice, quick callback. The quick wits of Cage. All right. Then we have this question, Josh, near and dear to you, from the D-Wees. I'm not sure if I've never asked Jeremy how to say that. He says, what do you think about Bronny and LeBron going to Josh's hometown team?
Oh, this is a stupid topic. Can we move on? I couldn't care less about this topic anymore. He's like, not going to be relevant. It has nothing. LeBron's not going to go to the team that drafts him just because they feel like it. This is non-story.
Okay. All right. I definitely tend to agree. I saw a few of the accounts.
I do not agree.
If LeBron goes to the Suns because they draft Bronny in the second round, I will eat a hat.
Nice. That could.
And then I'll buy season tickets.
I mean, yeah, it's.
You better buy season tickets now, because once he gets drafted, those prices are skyrocketing.
It doesn't matter. I'm fine with it. I'll just buy in the upper deck. It's fine. They can't even afford it. What's he going to sign a veterans minimum? Like, it's not happening.
Yeah. There are some of the people I follow on Twitter talk about NBA have all been like tweeting about they're muting the name Bronny for the foreseeable future, just so that they don't have to deal with the nonsense surrounding us. So.
It's such it's supposed to be like a bad draft, right? Like lower end of the relative to other years. So Bronny's like, yeah, this is my chance to sneak in and catch some headlines because none of the players are doing it.
Yeah, he's projected to be a late second round pick right now, which is an improvement.
Yeah, that's just like that pick is just on the hope, that like you can catch some of the hype around his media coverage and the LeBron thing. I don't think he'd actually be drafted. He averaged like 4 points a game off the bench for the team that was like second to last in the Pac-12. That makes no sense.
He also has been recorded since he was like 15 as 6'4", and his measurements at the whatever were 6'1". Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like he first was like comped to like Westbrook size and stuff, and it's like, yeah, he's more like Davion Mitchell now apparently. So I don't
know. All right. And final NBA question here. This one should give us the pivot we need.
All right.
From Tiger Jordan 311. Which remaining NBA sorry, the chat is just going nuts right now. Which remaining NBA superstar helps the hobby the most if the team wins?
I can't really jump off this one to get to what I want to get to, but unless you can think of something more clever than I can, I'm just so sick of this question.
Well, all right, I got 2 ways. First of all, I think Pascal Siakam is the guy the hobby really needs to win this year.
What?
I'm just joking. But no, the way I would go with this is which remaining NBA superstar hurts the hobby the most if their team were to win this year? So I'll turn the question around. And I think that when we have the riskiest situation to me is when there is a tidal wave of hype that just isn't really justified. And there's always going to be hype with young players, and they're always going to be projected, judged based on their potential, not based on what they've accomplished. But I think there was a scary tidal wave of hype that had been built up surrounding Anthony Edwards that put an unfair expectation on him. I think the media, there's a cruelty to this in the media leading this kid, this 22-year-old kid, to believe that he is the next Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, LeBron James, Tiger Woods, and Wayne Gretzky. And now he's on the biggest stage of his career, and all of a sudden he's not those things, at least not yet. And I think it's really bad for the hobby if we have a premature hype bubble that's allowed to get inflated even further, and the mismatch to reality is too enormous.
Yes, that's a good answer. That was a clever way of doing that. Good job.
Do you have anything you want to add to it?
I mean, I have lots of things to say.
Okay. Let's go.
We were early on the Trae Young and Ja Morant.
Oh, yeah. That's right. So I messaged you. I said, you were the president of the Trae Young Hater Island. And now your exports are enormous, and you're collecting much wealth as the president of that island. I think it paid off.
Yeah, this one reminds me more of Ja Morant than Trae Young, because like it was more about like the excitement level of like he's dunking and stuff, and he's got all these highlights, but we weren't quite looking and digging into the stats enough. And we were wanting to like make him a superstar, and the stats didn't line up with the superstarness of it. And it sucks that I have to like jump on now after he's had like 2 or 3 really bad games in a row, but I was sort of like building up to it. We got pretty fired up about it last week just because of some of the prices of some of this stuff, and like the $30,000 non-rookie Black Prism, and I think I saw 2 come in this week that were over 100K, like 100K for a PSA 9 gold Prism, which is fine. Like this is what happens. People want to pay money. I can't really argue with it. That's where it goes. But it's to the point now where he's kind of screwed, like you said. He's just like there's no winning now. I saw an interview on one of those silly ESPN shows, and they went over to Windhorst, and he basically said something like he better enjoy it now because he is 100% going to start getting hated, just like every other superstar ever has, and that's assuming he even plays well. Like if he doesn't play well, he's going to start getting buried. Someone compared him to 2007 Finals LeBron, and I just want to go down that path just for a second, if you let me, because that enraged me. They were the same age, so in 2007, LeBron was 22 years old. And then I have another rant, so let me just take 5 minutes here.
We love the rants. Let's go.
So in 2007, LeBron's stats are here. So he was 22 that year, very young. LeBron was 6th in PER. He was 8 in win shares per 48. And he was 3rd in box plus minus.
Very, very good.
This year, which is good for a 22-year-old, because usually you don't see that until about 23, 24. Yes. And then this year, PER, I won't search it because I don't need to. He's not in the top 20. Edwards is not in the top 20.
He's not even in the top 30.
Yeah. Which is fine. People want to say he's good at defense or he's exciting. Those are fine things. But then to expect him to like magically start playing better at this point, he's not even playing like super horrible. This is just kind of what he is. He's just reaching his averages. The other rant is this like face of the league stuff. So face of the league, basically the definition of that now is being American, being able to dunk, and being under 25. That's what that definition means to the media. Because He literally is playing the face of the league in this fucking matchup, and he's getting cooked by the actual face of the league. In Luka. Luka has 5 straight first-team All-NBAs. He has more first-team All-NBAs than Stephen Curry, who was presumably the previous face of the league. And this guy's 25, and he already has more first-team All-NBAs, 5 straight. And he's fucking roasting Anthony Edwards in this tournament, absolutely destroying him. And he's not destroying him. He's playing averages. He's playing his averages for the season, and it's bearing out in statistics. So it's unfair that I have to take these victory laps. We have to take these victory laps. But this is what happens when the media is just this absolutely dumb and ridiculous and wrong over and over. All the promos I've seen have like Anthony Edwards standing in front of Luka, and they're like, whose cards would be the best for the hobby? And that implication of that question is like Anthony Edwards wins and the hobby's going to blow up.
Right.
Literally have the guy who is the face of the league in the same fucking series. Makes no sense. I know you. I knew you weren't gonna go on the Luka rant because you guys are too humble. So I'll just do it anyways. And you can do the LeBron one. I tried it. Whatever. That's the rant.
Yeah, I'll do the LeBron one very easily. So last summer I made a spreadsheet that measures basically a catch-all of all the catch-alls for players. And in LeBron's second year, he was 4th. In his second year, he was the 4th best player in the league using this measurement. In his third year, he was the 2nd best player in the league. In his 4th year, he was the 5th best. In his 5th year, he was the 2nd best. And then when he gets to his 6th year, he's the 1st best in the 7th year, 1st best in the 8th year, 1st best in the 9th year, 1st best in the 10th year, 2nd best in the 11th year. And it just continues. All the way to this season, he was the 11th best, even in his age 39 season. By comparison,
better than Edwards.
But Anthony Edwards has never cracked this list once. And the only thing, and he's played 4 seasons, and the only thing you need to do to get on this list is finish in the top 20 in any of the catch-alls, in any of them. But he didn't. He was below 30th in PER. He was below 60th in win shares per 48, and he is below 30th in BPM. So
he's the face of the league. The face of the league.
It's just incredibly premature.
Premature? I can tell you right now, based on trajectories and what I'm seeing, it's not ever going to happen. Premature implies it's going to happen. The problem is like, and I did this to you last year. We were on the anti-Ja Morant. He was like 8th.
Yeah.
Do you have the stats of Ja Morant on that from 3 years ago or whenever the last time he played basketball was?
Yeah. Yeah. So Morant in Morant's 3rd season, he was tied for 11th.
So great. So there is a premature. You're prematurely doing it to a guy who is working his way up to 11th and then potentially into the top 10, top 5, etc. We're talking about a leap that Edwards is going to have to make from like the 30th best player in the NBA to number 1, which would be the face of the league. Is the face of the league not allowed to be non-American? Is that like literally how this works? I don't understand.
I do think that's how it works. And
I don't. But why? Like the only advantage the NBA has over the NFL is that
it's the international game. I know.
So do it.
I know, it's crazy. And there's a guy too who is not going to have a great end to his postseason, but he did something very improbable this year. And it's Tyrese Halliburton. So Halliburton last year was the 12th best player, and then this year he was the 7th. And half of this season was played on a bad hamstring. So Halliburton, if Edwards statistically profiled the way Halliburton does, we could be a lot more amenable to the hype. But
you could say Shea too, because did Shea finish higher than Luka on the catch-alls this year?
Shea finished 2nd.
Yeah. So so he's Canadian. Sorry, my bad. He can't fucking be it because he's Canadian. I don't understand.
He's Canadian.
I know. It's crazy. It's just.
They're all so salty at the NBA that, like, the past 6 years, the international which they have fucking international camps and they like do this big push of like NBA International, and like it's finally like, oh, okay, like here are the stars, here are all of our MVPs, here are like the top like catch-alls. They're all international.
Okay, so that's a good springboard here, because there definitely is an incompatibility between the beat writers who make up the majority of the voting blocks for the awards, who by and large do a pretty nice job of getting it right, in my opinion, or at least their opinions line up really well with what the statistics say. There's a disconnect between them and the people who are taking it upon themselves to market and promote and advocate for the league. And so to me, my theory is that it just seems like there are boardroom meetings that happen with executives from the NBA, executives from Nike, executives from Adidas, executives from the ESPN and Disney, and they're all just sort of, when they get together to talk about promotion and branding and campaigns and marketing, it's a bunch of well-educated, well-to-do people who are looking at headshots of players and looking at some highlight reels and saying, you know what, we can market that. That's what we're going to promote. Let's filter this down to our networks and to our advertising campaigns and to the marketing departments, and let's just push this. And I just don't think that's the way to advocate for your sport. I think the way to advocate for a sport is to reflect reality. If this guy's the best player, if this guy's the reigning finals MVP, if this guy's the reigning MVP, let's just get behind that. And you know what? If it doesn't look quite right, if it doesn't fit the predetermined mold for who the star is supposed to be in the minds of the marketing departments everywhere, oh well, do your job. Get creative. Find ways to market that guy. Take it as an opportunity to do something creative, and find creative ways to market the guys that you don't like what they look like.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. And I jumped off of it when we were chatting over DMs and said, like, it seems to be this that plus the player that they're marketing needs to be high flying, dunking, younger, and they basically like got lucky with that MJ and LeBron was that mold, and they also happen to be the best player in the world, just almost by happenstance that's what they fell into, and they're trying to recreate that with Edwards, but they're not actually looking at the data back up. We know this is going to happen to him because we've already seen it all regular season, all the last 5 seasons. We know his stats. It's not like he's magically going to pump his chest out and be a better player magically. It doesn't work like that. Like he would have done that all regular season if he could. He's shooting like 30% in the last 5 games or whatever. This is just what he is.
Yeah. And you know what? Not that Anthony Edwards gives a damn about what I think. He makes an enormous amount of money, and now after All-NBA, he's going to make tens of millions more. But I think he got a little bit of a raw deal here. If I was 22 years old and everybody was telling me that I'm the next coming of Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Tiger Woods and Wayne Gretzky and all the other people that Bill Simmons said, Tom Brady, I might start to believe it a little bit too. And
he said, to his credit, he did say, don't compare me to Michael. I think I heard him say that.
He did. But like now, I watched a little bit of his post-game interview today, and they're asking him questions like, what happened and stuff. And it's like, now he's like, I can tell that he feels like he has to answer these questions from the position of like, he's the best player in the world. He's like, they're like, you're down 2-0 and you're shooting terribly. And he's like, I'm not worried. You're not worried? You could be a little bit worried, man. You're 22. You could be a little bit, you made the Western Conference Finals as a 22-year-old, on a team that, it just gets better every year. It's okay, but now the expectation is, he's going to win the championship, and he's, it's just tough. It's just it's gonna be pretty painful to try to live up to that standard and then get torn down after.
Yeah, I mean, he took down the best player in the world last round, so he's riding high from that. But like I told you over messages, that series was won and lost with the role players, the like 3 through 7 players. The Nuggets just didn't have enough of that, in my opinion. And the Wolves literally had the 6th man of the year, and they had like better role, like McDaniels shot out of his mind. They had better contributions from the 3 through 7 guys, and then Murray, shit the bed.
All right, so I'll just end on this from my side of this, but so Dave Portnoy had 2 tweets tonight, and I didn't get to go through my hours of Twitter scrolling that I usually like to go to after playoff games, which is either torture or jubilation. Dave Portnoy had 2 tweets. One was towards the end of the game. He says Anthony Edwards is fucking horrible. I thought this guy was Jordan. He's Harold Miner. The Wolves are fucked. And then the tweet right after that is, I'm not sure somebody has ruined their reputation faster in 2 games than Anthony Edwards. Holy shit, he's awful.
The guy can tweet.
I mean, those tweets are not just like a guy thinking of things to say. Those tweets come from a person who wagered a lot of money based on what the media was telling him, and now he is getting crushed.
Dude, I can't believe you would blame the media as a gambler when all of the stats are right in front of you. That is mind-numbing. That is absolutely mind-numbing. Like, I'm going to make this huge bet because Kendrick Perkins told me he's the next Michael Jordan. Are you serious? Kendrick Perkins doesn't even know what win shares per 48 means. He doesn't know any of these stats. These stats are calculated to tell you who's good and who's bad.
Right.
That's the whole point. You could just look it up and be like, yeah, he's probably not going to do what he did last round because that's not who he is. Oh my God. We need to start just like only listening to gambling podcasts. I would hope they'd get this part of it right. Like, there's no way that those people are the ones saying that he's the next MJ too, right?
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
Because he's the next Michael Redd, not Michael Jordan. If you want me to put that out in the ether, I'll do it on this show. He's the next Michael Redd.
Give that Michael Redd stat line. Sorry, give that Michael Redd stat line really quick if you don't mind. I'm looking for a tweet right now from Raheem Palmer, who's one of the gambling guys that I like to follow, and he had a nice tweet if I can find it. Yeah, all right. So this is what Raheem Palmer said. I think this kind of reflects the tenor of the gambling community. This is from May 22nd, so this is from after Game 1. Raheem Palmer says, people don't want to hear this, but suddenly Anthony Edwards has become the most overrated player in the league. That's not to say he's not good and that we don't love him, because we do. But the best player in the series is Luka by a large margin. It's debatable if Ant can match Kyrie.
Right.
Okay? Like, that's just a guy who's just looking at the metrics.
Right. The point of what he's saying, too, I want to reiterate, because this is going to look like – this is what happened with Trae Young and Ja Morant with us. It looked like we just didn't like those guys. We're fighting a giant wave of just him being overrated. We're not saying he sucks. He's clearly a great player, He's a solid player. He's good. He's fun to watch. I like his charisma as well. I thought he was funny in that movie. These are great things to have. He's just not Michael fucking Jordan. Like, get over it. Okay, Michael Redd. I don't know how to pull this up exactly because these numbers are small, but maybe you can tell me if you can even see this. But stats are like eerily similar to Anthony Edwards. He even finished. These are Michael Redd's career numbers. He peaked with 27 points. Edwards probably around there in his peak. He was
27 points a game, especially like in the 2000s. It's crazy. That's good.
Right. 14th in MVP voting, NBA third team. That's probably Ant shouldn't have even been there. He was an all-star. I don't know. It's kind of a funny thing because people kept saying Michael Jordan, and I just couldn't get the Michael thing out of my head. That reminds me of Michael Redd. He's like a decent scorer. He's not really memorable for anything else. Stats are all right.
Yeah. All right. That was good. That was a nice Anthony Edwards chunk to the show. All right. Let's get on to the rest of the questions here.
That Portnoy one was amazing. Wow, he's just absolutely throwing flames across the internet.
Yes, he is. All right. From Carlson Cards. Shout out to Carlson Cards. What has been your favorite year of each of your collecting journeys? By year, I mean January to December of overall hobby experience and collection growth. Do you have the most fun? Oh, sorry. Did you have the most fun in the hobby of the year of 2023? Maybe it was 2021, etc.
Hmm. Do you have something ready for this?
This is a question we actually need to sit and think about it, and I spent like 15 seconds on it, but like I was kind of walking through some of the better years. Like in 2018 was the year of getting the Michael Jordan PMG Red. 2019 was the year of getting the Golden Boston Refractor, finest Michael Jordan, and the Luka NTRPA and the Luka Prism Gold. 2022 was an amazing year. That was the year of the McCaffrey Prism Black Finite and the Jokic Prism Black. So there's been a lot of good years. But I'd probably go with 2019 just because that was the first, like we started the House of Jordans podcast late in 2018. And so that was like the first year of doing it. That was just such a year of like learning and discovery, getting into active players. So probably 2019.
Yeah, I really like those 2018, 2019 years when we weren't noobs anymore, and we were starting to get like more expensive cards and understand everything better. And then I also like 2020. We launched Card Ladder 623.
That was gonna be mine, Josh.
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought Chris was gonna steal it, but
no,
someone's
that's a good one. I was just thinking about collection, but like hobby experience, nothing beats the rush and the craziness of launching Card Ladder. That was, I'll never have another experience like that in my life.
Well, we haven't pivoted to a NFT repack company yet, so I'm proud. I can't help myself.
Moving on.
Okay. Did you want to give a year?
You're like, so was that a year or just a shit talking? Yeah. I'll say 2019 as well. I got the LeBron RPA and felt like that was a fun year to like levels like you did, right? 2019, that you started picking up the MJ Grails and it just felt like a pivoting point.
Yeah, great year. All right. The next one, I've combined two questions because they ask a very similar topic. Victory Investment says, how often do you guys pull out your collection and just look at the cards? And Basketball Card Collector 93 says, it's easy to constantly look for the next card for your PC, but how often do you just sit down and appreciate the collection that you already have? I think that's an important thing to do, but it can be easily overlooked.
Yeah. It's hard for me to do that because I don't just like have the cards next to me and, I have them in different locations and security and stuff like that. So it's harder to do that. But I would say like once every other month or something like that.
Yeah.
If I had them at the house, probably more often.
Exactly. That I've found that to be a nice amount. Is just like, I like to 3 times a year, something like that. Honestly, it's hard to like gather all the cards together in the same spot. But a few times a year, I like to get all the cards together and just lay them all out, survey the whole PC. That's always a good opportunity to take stock of the collection and see if I want to change anything.
How often do you look at this? I pulled up my collection on Card Ladder. I look at this every day.
Every day.
I just like the way that you can like blow up the images and do the grid and stuff like that. I do that every day.
Yep, every day, and that is a good. It's a nice stand-in because it doesn't replace the sensation when you have the card in your hand, but it's a level of connectivity to the collection. It's a good way to take stock of it when you want to go look at it. But it's not replacing the experience of looking at the cards, but it's a great way to remind me about what that experience is like.
Yeah.
From Cardboard Insights, it seems like it would be advantageous for fanatics to really dive in and make some kind of how to collect content for newcomers to supplement all the other content that they put out. The Fanatics Collectibles page only has 1 post and 1,500 followers. Is this page even legit? I did look it up. There is a page called Fanatics Collectibles. It does have one posted 1,500 followers. I don't know what the deal is with that page though. But question continues: if they are the ones stocking the river, so to speak, why not teach a man to fish, both for the sake of the new collectors and for their own bottom line long term?
Yeah, I tried that content and it was met with a lot of resistance. Maybe that's why.
Right.
I guess it would be all right, or make sweet cards. I don't know.
Well, you know what? When I was thinking about this question, one of the things that came to my mind was that the thing that's tough about making collector content is that it's never just like when you really take the point of view of the collector, then you're gonna have thoughts and discussions like the one we had about the 84 star PSA 9 sale, where you're gonna, when you're a collector, as much as a part of you wants to see a really strong market and see the cards that you already own appreciate in value, there's an equally strong part of you, maybe even a stronger part of you, that wants to see lower prices for the cards that you don't own yet. And it's a competitive thing where you want to be able to trust the market. You don't want to ever feel like you're getting screwed over. Your eye is always going to be laser focused on acts of deception, shill bidding, fraudulent sales, sham transactions. So I think the difficulty is that when you take the point of view of the collector, there's a certain level of skepticism, pessimism, some might even call it negativity, that a collector is naturally going to have. And that just doesn't jive with the blue skies corporate vibe that a company is going to want to put out through their social media channels. I mean, how weird would it be if like there was the official Topps podcast and they're like, yeah, we don't really know about that 84 star sale. That's not the branding that the big corporation is going to take. It's just not. I think that's a drawback. That's something that scares people away from taking the collector side, is that sometimes you're going to say things that piss off the corporations, that piss off the powers that be, and I think that's a fact.
Yeah, that's good. I can't improve on that.
All right, but it's a good idea to Cardboard Insights point. But you know what? If you want collector content, there is collector content out there, and it's probably for the best that content is made by independent people or people who can get as independent as possible.
There's another question about should Fanatics focus less on gambling, breaking. Do you have that one? That kind of jumped off that.
Yeah, let's do that right now. So that's from PK Cards, who says, is Fanatics focusing way too much on gambling, parentheses breaking? Are 18 to 25-year-olds mature enough to be able to click a button and spend $1,000 or more?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like, yes to the first question and no to the second.
All right. What do you say, Josh?
I mean, I think everybody talks too much about gambling and breaking and stuff, but that seems to be what people want, Like the FanDuels and all these companies that are have like taken over sports. There's like tons of content around it. That's what people are paying for. The numbers go up for more. Players are doing it now. It's so out of control. Like the gambling is just it's really like it's an epidemic. It's taking over everything. It's crazy. So I can see why the companies are leaning into it. That's probably where they're getting the most engagement. It's where they're getting the most revenue and stuff like that. So I get it. But selfishly, I'd like to see a lot less of it and more about the strategy for continuing the significance in the history of the hobby as the sole license owner for the NBA and NFL. Like, I feel like that's a pretty important role, and I'd like to get more comfort out of knowing what's the strategy around that. So that's what I would look more for, but I get it.
Yep. I agree. There's a really big risk in the gambling thing just not panning out over a long enough time horizon where everybody loses enough money and then it's just over. I think that's a concern. I think like the counterpoint to that is like, well, people already mostly lose money when they gamble, but they get an entertainment value out of it. There's a rush involved that they like. So that's a little worrisome. It's also just it's just a little scary, thinking about a person who like goes to work and gets their paycheck at the end of 2 weeks, and then just 60% of it is gone by the time they wake up on Saturday morning.
They put it all in.
It's maybe something that's better not constantly being put in our faces.
It's also like not even collecting. It's just a completely different genre. It has nothing to do with collecting sports cards. I don't even understand how it's infiltrated sports cards. Like, if you want to gamble on sports, then gamble on sports. I don't understand the like repacking, breaking. Like, I don't know. It's just a very strange outlet to be the place that you gamble. Gambling's fun. I get it. You go to Vegas, you play blackjack, you bet on a basketball team you're passionate about, whatever. There's fun reasons. I don't understand the breaking and repack stuff.
Christina has a take.
I agree. I just want to clarify my take from previous. Is Fanatics focusing way too much on breaking? Yes, because they're not focusing on the end collector. And that's like my little, maybe someone at Fanatics will listen to this and actually like have a light bulb go off in front of their head and be like, oh, people actually want to hold on to these. They don't want to just like have someone screaming at them through a phone or a computer screen that a card was hit and then like quickly dump the card and walk away to then put that profit back into this cycle. Like, no, someone actually wants that card, but they want it to be good. Like, they want it to be a well-designed, well-thought-out, like, amazing picture card that actually has value and rarity, not like, let's add 50 other parallels so that breakers can hit something in a video. And the second thing is more of a societal comment that I made of, are 18 to 25-year-olds mature enough to spend $1,000 on breaks through clicks or whatever? No, because your brain doesn't fully develop until you're 26 years old, so you don't make rational decisions until you're 26 years old. Approximate, like that's an average. Some people mature earlier, some people mature later. Chris, still, we're waiting for him to mature. So,
Yep.
But like, so I just want to like say that was a comment on that. Now, if you can vote and go to war, then yes, you should have the ability to spend $1,000 on whatever the fuck you want. This is America. But I'm saying, like, do they have the maturity? No, they do not. I'm cool.
I'm also worried about some of the ways that these companies are getting around like the legalities of gambling. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure all the gambling companies and all these sites have to like put in the snippet at the end about like, call this number if you need help, if gambling's taking over your life, etc. There's like laws around it. Some states don't even allow it. Yet somehow you're allowed to get into razzes and repacks and all this stuff and not have to worry about legal issues. I think that could be an issue going forward. But what do I know? I'm not a lawyer.
All right. Next question here comes from David Kahana, who says, please talk about the attention finally brought to the bad actors, parentheses, Prism, Gerald, theft, and how this helps everyone. Either way, I appreciate you and your tribe. So first of all, backing up a second, there was an episode of Sports Cards Live done by Jeremy last Saturday. It was extremely interesting. He walked through a scenario that he was involved in where he was at a card show and he purchased cards that he later found out were stolen, and he returned the cards to the rightful owner, and he was made whole as well. And generally speaking, my understanding of legal remedies in situations involving the possession of stolen items, once I've been made aware that I have a stolen item in my possession, at that point, the obligation is mine to return the stolen item, and I have to seek to the rightful owner, and I have to seek my my reimbursement through the person who transferred the stolen item to me. And that's a tough spot to be in if you're a person who comes into possession of a stolen item. But when you unpack that, that's also the right thing to do. So there is, whether it's the hotel situation, whether it's the cards with Enrico, who had cards stolen years ago that were exquisite cards, and then they showed up at a show and people came into possession of them, and then it became a battle to get those cards returned or to get some sort of remedy provided there. It's good to think about. It's good to be aware of the situation that can happen where any of us could come into possession of a stolen card. And in the event of that, the obligation is on, once I become knowledgeable that I'm in possession of a stolen item, I have to return that item to its rightful owner, and then I have to get my reimbursement from the person that I got it from. So that should provide all the incentive in the world to really make sure that when you're doing deals, if you're not buying from a reputable company in the hobby, when you're buying something, when you're doing a deal, when you're doing a trade, it's important to dig into the provenance of the cards that you're transacting and do your very best to make sure that you're not trafficking in stolen goods, knowingly or not. So that's all I got now. Do you have anything else?
Nope. I don't know enough about this topic, and I endorse what you said.
Sounds good. Shout out to David, by the way. He's really looked out for Enrico, who was unfairly victimized in that situation. All right. Next question comes in from Kwame Lynch, who says, "Hey guys, I'm a really big fan." That's a good way to get to the top of the list. My question is, do you think BGS 10s will stand the test of time?
These questions are so hard. Is BGS 9 undervalued? I don't know. I'm not like super confident about some of the decisions BGS is making, so it's hard for me to like say yes, but it has proven to be a long-standing part of the hobby for a while, so I don't see why I would change overnight.
Yeah. Agreed. Completely agreed. Cardi C Sports Card says, "What is your Mount Rushmore of ways to enjoy the hobby, excluding bidding and buying cards?"
Excluding buying cards.
Excluding the best part.
Excluding potentially the only part, if you wanted it to just be a hobby. Probably just like engaging with other people like this, this show, and engaging on Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude, all the good parts of the hobby do kind of revolve around acquiring cards in one way or another, whether it's like we're at a show, like walking all the aisles, and you're like, "Oh, I found this Jokic Select Gold or something," and it's hard to like get away from parts of the hobby that make that so enjoyable. But one of the so I thought about this, and I thought it definitely is what you said. It's just making friends with people and talking about the things we have in common. And like one of the better ways of that is just like watching sports games together with with the other collectors that you know.
Yeah. Christina's stealing my favorite answers, and they're all of the negative variety, making fun of influencers, mocking hypocrites who think they're smart. Yeah, but it's basically like being right while other people are wrong. I enjoy that thoroughly.
That's good. It's a great answer. But yeah, if anybody out there is collecting active players who like play games all the time, and you don't have a little group chat going where you guys can all fucking just hate the coach and hate the role players all together, you should get one of those together, because that's always fun.
It's like right when the season ended for the Lakers, it was like Darvin Ham's the reason that we got swept.
Yes.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's not why, but let's just do it. Let's go all in on that take.
I'm skeptical of any person who doesn't hate the head coach of their team.
You should go on Reddit for your favorite team, and every other thread, without fail, is going to be how your head coach is terrible at rotations, and he's the reason you're losing.
Yes.
Yeah, but like it's actually true for these.
There we go. All right. From Football Card Dude 12.
Well, you don't want my take that Jason Kidd's been pretty good these last couple rounds.
He has been.
He nailed the challenges tonight. I thought that was a huge swing in the game and basically got them an extra possession.
The challenges were great, and they have had one of the best challenge success rates all season.
And they figured out to stop playing Tim Hardaway. They've played other players more.
That's the thing. Like, when Jason Kidd will still play him. Like, he played him in the first half. But when it became winning time, he didn't. So, make of that what you will.
You also have to remember, he played him in the first half. Last game he never got a pass on offense.
That's right.
To take a shot. And then this game, when he played in the first half, he was passed the ball twice, and both times he did horrible plays, so they never passed the ball to him again. Like, it's to the point where, like, Jason Kidd is like, yeah, Timmy, go play. And then all of his teammates are like, but we will not give you the ball, son.
Yes. Yep. But props for only playing him for 1.5.
He's growing. He's getting better.
He knows, okay? Because this same thing happened in Game 6 of Oklahoma City, where the Mavs were down by 16 at half. Played him in the first half, didn't play him in the second half. What do you know? They come back and win by 1. All right. Let's go to the next question here from Football Card Dude 12. Can higher monthly sales volume actually be a bad thing? I was told that we're supposed to collect cards and hold on to them, not sell them.
Oh, that's the end of the question? You sound like you're going to keep going.
Nope, that's it.
You got to work on your reflections. So April was down from March. Did you see that in the sales count and the sales volume? Down quite a bit.
Yep.
Yeah,
it was.
I always side on I'd rather see less in the sales than more for the health of the hobby. I'm anti-liquidity.
Nice. That's a nice zag. The anti-liquidity zag.
Yeah,
liquidity.
What did she say?
She said, "Are we sniping liquidity?"
Sniping liquidity. Memories.
All right. Yeah, totally valid point. All right, from Bro Incognito, let's discuss Stroud and Richardson cards selling high during the offseason. So we have somebody out there thinking about football, which is nice. I mean, this has been a very compelling NBA season in playoffs, and I like that Bro Incognito is out there thinking about the football cards. Not a bad thing to be thinking about right now. Everybody else's eyes are over here.
So this is baiting me to say something negative. I'm going to take the bait.
Yes, please.
I hope Stroud and Richardson have great seasons, but anytime I hear this is the player you should be buying, influencers circling certain players in the offseason, I'm going to run for the hills, because last year the top 4 players that I heard in this regard were Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett, who was the other 2? Oh, Sam Howell, right? There was a 4th one. And all of those guys I named are now backups on different teams. So that didn't work well last year. And I would be worried if I was a Colts and Texans fan and that was who they were circling this year. Be careful.
Yeah. 100%. I think they might do okay on Stroud. Stroud in his rookie season last year had the 15th best QBR, which is pretty good for a rookie. And then he won a playoff game as well. So
sure.
He, I think, he is positioned to do much better than any of those guys you named. So once in a while they get, once in a while things align, worlds, universes align.
A blind squirrel finds a nut.
A blind squirrel finds a nut.
Who was the 4th guy?
You said Ritter. You said Howell. You said
Pickett.
Pickett. And Bryce Young?
No, there wasn't even cards out. He didn't have cards out. It was like all non-rookies.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe Fields?
Yeah, it might have been Fields. He might not even...
What was the
Also a backup.
The Patriots?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. Yeah.
These guys. I'm like, all I'm doing is looking at the bottom 10 QBR, and they're in there.
They are all in there. All behind Joshua Dobbs.
Who Bill Simmons called a mix of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. He just like makes those claims and then leaves them on the floor, and we never hear from him again.
Yeah, we gotta get him to chill on that.
CJ Stroud was the same as Geno Smith last year. I'm not that excited.
Yeah, exactly. A guy who's higher, who's also being prospected heavily right now, is Jordan Love, who was 9th,
Mm-hmm.
and he went to conference finals or conference championship game. So, all right. From JC2 Collects, what do we call someone that asks for the lowest price on a card that already has a listed price and has offers turned on? And then you highlight that you are accepting offers, and then they just ghost you rather than make any kind of an offer. How much more incompetent is this than even an extreme lowball offer to start?
Those always made me laugh when I haven't sold anything on eBay best offer in a while, but I do remember someone messaging me like, "What's your lowest?" And I was like, if only there was some sort of mechanism in place within eBay, the platform I'm using to sell this card, for you to be able to determine that. I mean, maybe we're screwed here. I don't know.
Yeah. Some people just don't want to follow the rules, no matter what they are.
This reminds me of the reels and memes that make fun of Facebook Marketplace. Have you seen some of those? Like, one of the memes is, or the reels is like, if Facebook Marketplace was real life, and like someone drives up in their car to you and goes like, "How much for that?" And then you answer and like give the details, and they just drive off without saying anything.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. All right. From Man Cards, Mohammed. Do you guys consolidate on an ongoing basis or as needed when a Grail card comes up? Recently, I bought a Grail card, and while I can afford to keep it without moving anything, I keep wondering, should I move the cards I'm not in love with so much anymore in anticipation of the next Grail card, or should I just wait until it shows up?
That's a good question. I always wait because I've found, in my experience, the cards that I end up selling when I consolidate end up being way easier to move than I would have otherwise thought, whether that's like sending it to consignment at the last or just like selling it privately over Instagram, whatever. Cards are pretty easy to move in my experience. Do you agree?
100%. Yeah. First of all, I'm a lazy seller. So,
I can vouch for this.
So the only time I'm ever able to really motivate myself to like get on eBay, put these listings up, or put stuff in a box and send it to a consignment company is when like I have to. When you know, so like, and that can get a little dicey because like, I'm cutting it close. I have to make sure I sell these cards real quick to raise the funds for this new card, but I just find I get much more motivated. I enjoy the selling process a lot more when it's like when it's geared towards a purpose. So I've always waited until the last second.
What's your thought on buying a Grail that comes up super short notice, like private? You don't even have time to like prepare for it in auction. Are you okay with like dipping into some savings with the intention of replenishing the savings after the fact, knowing that you have such a short amount of time?
Oh, yeah. I've dipped into the savings and not replenished.
True.
So I'm definitely on board with the replenish.
This is not financial advice. I asked you.
Do not do that.
Let it be known.
What do you think?
I asked Chris his personal opinion, so let the record show.
What do you think about that situation? Are you cool with it?
I usually am not super great about replenishing as much as my initial thought would be to do. I usually like get to it. I'm like, yeah, screw it. I'll just keep them all.
Yep, exactly.
I get lazy to replenish. And plus, like, money changes. Like, things change from when you bought it to when your plan was to replenish. Like, yeah, I'll be fine with having less than savings. I'll survive.
All right, from Heat Collector, will you collect Topps Chrome basketball even though it won't be licensed?
No. Stop it.
Christina?
Who asked this?
Heat Collector.
Is this his first episode of Crossover?
Yeah, seriously.
Hold on, I have a meme for this.
If I could answer every question with a meme, I would gladly. Can AI do that for me? Can AI answer my questions for me with memes? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. What if AI just did the whole show for us?
Oh, Simmons talked about that for a while. You gotta describe what you're showing.
This is the Randy Jackson. That's gonna be a no for me, dog meme.
I wonder what that guy's up to.
Telling people no.
That's gonna be a no for me, dog.
All right. Not that there's anything wrong with unlicensed cards.
You can't even say that without laughing.
No, I can't. I'm just trying to be too nice, and it's not. And people can see the fraud of it all.
It's an honest show. We don't lie. It's an honest show.
We're not going to hold back. All right. Kevin M. Cormier says, "What's the proper time frame to feel good about an offer accepted by a seller? If the seller accepts too quickly, I feel like I must have overpaid. If they wait until the end of the offer, I feel like they were looking for other offers, didn't get them, and I overpaid. But somewhere in the middle seems right. Am I overthinking this?"
Yeah.
Probably, but I like the thought. It's an interesting take.
Yeah, it is an interesting take. I think if they, the interesting twist here is not like the snap accepts, because like, yeah, if I send an offer and it's like accepted immediately, the thought does run through my mind that I overpaid. But the other one is interesting. If they take a day to accept the offer, and then you say, wow, okay, so they must have tried to field other offers, couldn't get any other offers, and then they just took mine. So that makes me still the sucker who paid the highest.
That one's probably like 2 days though.
I want them to accept it immediately, because if I want a card and enough to put an offer out, like, I don't care if you think I'm overpaying it. I just want that fucking card. So, like, if you make me wait 24 hours, at the end of 24 hours, I'm like, how much more do you want? Like, I'm ready to, like, bid against myself. Yeah. So, no. I don't, like, no. I want it immediately accepted, please. As if I did it.
I want to start that shipping process ASAP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in the case of the vault transfer, I need to get it started so I can get the card this year.
From Bretsky6, what is the psychology behind the idea that it is better for a card to be pack pulled for our PC? When most of us acquire our cards, they were pulled by somebody else after all. Thanks. What do you think about this?
Pack pulled by ourselves. That's the specific part of it?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I guess there's two parts to this. There's one is like, why do you care that your card is pack pulled? You didn't pack pull it anyway. Like, else pack pulled.
But
So
versus,
why worry about what pack pulled?
versus like a redemption, though, is that the topic, or am I missing something?
No, I just think this is more of like there's it's like, for example, you have the 84 star versus the 86 Fleer argument for whether one has a better claim to be the true rookie card of Michael Jordan.
Right.
And the big knock on the 84 star is that it didn't come from a blind pack. It came from a team. So pack pull. So why does it matter that that it came from a team bag rather than being pack pulled? I think that's the question.
Yeah, I think it's part of the allure that it was like truly randomized, and it's like historically coming from the place where we're used to cards coming from, dating back decades and decades. So like having the history and lineage of that, I think is important. It's an important aspect of the card. Does that bother you about the 84 star?
A little bit, not a lot.
Because it's like on the top, isn't it?
It is on the top. Yep, it is on the top.
And you're getting the 86 Fleer if you buy a box of that, so that's kind of similar. There's no rarity to it.
Yeah, no, in a true to the manufacturer 86 Fleer box, you're getting 2 or 3. You're getting 2 or 3 copies.
But you weren't necessarily buying a full box.
Yeah.
Like you were often buying one pack.
Yeah, the way that and I think this is a small topic, and it's even less important nowadays because you have Topps now, you have Panini Instant, you have cards being distributed without any consideration of the pack format, and it's becoming more normalized. But for me, it makes a small difference because you can sort of imagine we're always having to battle against non-trading card things.
Yeah.
Whether it's a custom card, whether it's a piece of memorabilia, whether it's a booklet card, or an oversized card, there's always sort of this an NFT card. There's always this sort of like battle of like something that's trying to be a sports card and trying to displace the traditional concept of a sports card. And so I'll always put a little bit of value, at least, on cards that most closely approximate the original form of the card, the form of the pack issued card. And it's not a big deal, but in the case of a tiebreaker, did one card, in terms of which card I like more, if one came out of a blind pack, it's closer to the true ideal of what a sports card is than a card that came from some other distribution method. So it's a very fine point. It's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a bigger deal than that, but I get what you're saying. Like there's the 2002 finest gold LeBron was a redemption. Like you pulled the #1 draft pick redemption card and you would send that into Topps and then you'd get back the actual gold refractor. And some people explain the story of well, actually the redemption card is more rare. You should have that one. And there's not actually 25 copies of the real one because not everyone redeemed it. It's all these backstories and it's confusing. It's just I want to know that it came from a pack and there's 25 of them because the serial number says there's 25. I just like the straightforwardness of it. And anytime you can sneak in a rant on anti-memorabilia, anti-NFTs, I'm just going to blindly agree with you and move on. It blows my mind that I feel like we're the only two people that are just fighting against all these things every week, and everyone else just seems to fall by the wayside. They just eventually give in and switch over and start adding game used pit stain jerseys and NFT giveaways, and I just can't even believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a headache as soon as I see the 80 tiny red circles photo matching the bat knob to a grainy picture from 1832.
That was a good stand-up bit right there. If there was sports cards, that would be a good bit.
Oh, that's a funny idea. This sports card comic.
Yeah, dude, that's a good bit. Just making fun of the circling the little red circles. Look, guys, look at the way Ken Griffey's holding his bat, and the knob is angled specifically to show the chip in the lower left part. And look at this bat knob that I have. This new one that's $50 million Babe Ruth jersey that he wore in like 1920, and I'm supposed to believe the photo matching of a 1920 jersey. There's like so many jerseys that I could easily make look like that.
Yep.
And just the simple fact of like, I have a gathering at my home. My friends come over and they walk in and see this disgusting brown 100-year-old jersey hanging in my house, and that's supposed to impress them. Is like,
I mean, it's no jockstrap, but
Oh, we always get to the fucking jock strap eventually.
because it's a really nice representation of like where it goes. If you're gonna get that's like you eventually get to jock straps.
It is. Yeah, you don't. If you're into knobs and cleats and socks and headbands, why do you get to stop at smelly underwear and jock straps? Like,
Do you remember the Will Chamberlain shorts where you could actually see the poop on them? That was just like, what are we doing here, guys? Where are we? Where am I?
This reminds me of a Charles Barkley segment, because there's been a lot of these like clips going around because it looks like Inside the NBA is going to be done.
I saw this. I see where you're going with this. I love this. Go. I love this. Yes.
Okay, so there is a clip of Barkley during March Madness when he's talking about how they used to clean their uniforms back in the 80s in the NBA. And he said that they would go back to their hotel room after the game and they would just take a shower with the jersey on. And that would be the way that they clean the jersey. And Clark Kellogg and Kenny were like, there's other ways to clean the jersey besides taking a shower with the jersey on. And Barkley was like, no, I mean, I have to travel tomorrow. I went back to my room. I just take a shower with the jersey on, and then I clean the jersey and myself at the same time. So I just
he's
think
an
about that.
efficient basketball player and an efficient
It's very efficient,
water.
yeah.
that's like how you take a shower like after a day at the beach, like to rinse out your bathing suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
It's gonna.
Well, Charles had an interview on the Dan Patrick Show, and he asked him about the whole, TNT like potentially losing their NBA coverage and like in his show Inside the NBA going away. And I just loved how honest he was. He was like, yeah, it pisses me off. My bosses screwed this up. They're a bunch of idiots. Like, we're going to lose. But I just loved his honesty of like, that's how I feel like we are with the memorabilia stuff. It's like, I don't have to lie to you guys. We hate it. It's fine. Just let us hate it.
Yep. We're going to hate it anyway, so. All right. Let's see what else we have here. From Frozen Inferno Collectibles. Scenario. You have been looking for a rare autograph card for a decade or more. A copy finally shows up for sale, but the autograph on it has suffered sun damage and has faded to the point that it looks bad. Do you buy the card anyway because you've wanted it for so long, or do you pass on it, knowing it could be years before you see another copy hit the market, and there's no guarantee that the next one will have better autograph quality?
I feel like there's a chance this person is asking to somehow get some help justifying this, but I have to be the one that says don't do it, don't buy it. It's frustrating. You have to wait, but I personally would not buy it. Anytime something like comes into my collection and it would like literally bother me to look at it, it never ends up being worth it. That is one of the downsides of like patch autographs cards. Like, you may want the card, but you have to kind of wait for like the right version of it. Whereas with the chromes and the parallels, you really don't have that issue. But unless you're like a condition stickler, but I would pass.
Me too. That's an easy one for me. I can deal with the card itself being not in a great condition if it's a really important and significant card. If it's got a lot of edge wear or whatever. Don't love off-centered as much. That one bothers me a little bit more. But the faded autograph, like, that's a really hard one for me to get on board with.
What if the McCaffrey Shield had a faded autograph?
I wouldn't do it. Okay, that's the perfect question, because I know immediately I'm out. Okay. Not even a chance. Yep.
The truth comes out. You answered quickly.
Yeah. As soon as like it got put into terms like what I reach into my little wallet, no, that was very easy. This was a follow-up from Prison Mike PC Brian. He says, a follow-up to the advice you guys provided last week regarding my attempt to purchase a rare card for my PC. Do you remember he gave us all the options?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Well, I think we said B.
Yeah. I don't remember.
No, it was like exhaust all options, and at the end, just buy it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, well, he goes, I used your suggestions and tried to apply multiple strategies. I've been able to get a text message communication rather than a selling platform dialogue, which is helpful. The seller has acknowledged that the high price that he's asking. The seller has acknowledged the high price. Thank you, Carlighter, for providing this information. However, I'm currently in buyer's purgatory, as although he acknowledges the high price and has dropped it down for me, he still wants to live at 2.5x over comps. I can't pull the trigger yet, as I know my offer is strong. I'll just have to endure the punishment of watching a card that should be in my PC sit and rot on eBay until he decides to return to reality and accept a fair price that would still be higher than any public sale since 2011. Thanks again for the advice last week. I'll keep working at it. So there's our update.
Wasn't it 3x to start?
Yeah, so he's got it down to 2.5.
He did it. That sounds like a win. He was like, he had an option on there to bin it at 3x, and now he's got it down to 2.5. He's a winner.
Yep. I don't know. I think he's more stubborn than we're giving him credit for.
This is a 1-of-1. I would just buy it.
Right. Well, I hope now we almost need him to buy it now, just so we can figure out what the card was.
Right. I mean, I've bought Todd Gurley cards for like $500. You don't want that's where I land.
Yeah. Indeed. All right. From Cali Dreamin' 84, Joe. When it comes to golds numbered to 10 or numbered to 50, or when it comes to platinums and blacks numbered to 1, how much do you consider the premium on the price to be connected to the aesthetics versus how much is based on the scarcity of the card? Are we paying for both? Is it more so that it's numbered to 1 or 10 or 50? Or is it the rarity that strikes a chord in the collector's psychology? So is it the rarity of the aesthetics that's driving the price?
Well, which do you think would sell for more, the Luka Gold Prism or the Neon Green Fast Break?
Yeah, the gold to 10 over the neon to 5. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
For Maxi Kleba, it's going to be neon green.
I just couldn't. Right as that was coming out of my mouth, I was like, "Gosh, that's going to turn into a."
That's a triggering parallel, okay, Josh?
But I feel like the 1-of-1, it almost, within reason, it doesn't really matter what the color is. It happens to be black. If it was like a 1-of-1 superfractor, like we seem to be okay with whatever the 1-of-1 looks like to it within reason.
Yeah. It's definitely both for me as well. Gotta have both. There are many examples of a player, and then like the brand thing factors in too. Obviously, just think if like there was a 2003 Topps Chrome Superfractor and there was a 2003 Topps Paper Platinum 1-of-1. They both would be 1-of-1s. They both would come from the same manufacturer, but the Topps Chrome Superfractor I think would probably be worth many multiples more than the paper 1-of-1.
Yeah, for
a rookie from that year.
I love that we, as a hobby, we're pretty dialed into like what it should be, and it kind of works itself out.
It does. Yeah, I agree with that.
We've done a pretty good job. Give the hobby a little bit of credit.
Give the Bobby a little bit of credit.
That's a good. We haven't been as good about writing all these down and keeping track, myself included, but we got one there.
We got one there. All right. Last few questions from Oss Collector. Let's discuss high-grade die-cut cards. They are harder to get good grades because of the corners. And do you think Topps will even make them moving forward? Do you have any die-cut cards, Josh?
I had a couple 90s ones. I still have some like in binders and stuff. I have some random ones, but I don't have like anything major.
Yeah. The cool thing about die-cut cards when you're opening a pack is that you know that there's something special in there. That's what I've always liked about die-cut cards. Sometimes they look okay. Sometimes they just look brutal.
I wouldn't avoid them. Like if my favorite player had a big die-cut card, I wouldn't avoid it.
Yeah, fair. And they're not always hard. So like the Jambalaya inserts always grade well, but because they don't have corners. They are die-cut and they don't have corners.
I've seen a Jambalaya get like a 9 on a corner, and it's like, well, there's no corner. Like how? Like, are you like taking points off for not actually having a corner?
That screams to me like people that just refuse to give things 10s. It's like there really isn't a corner, and you're still not giving it a 10. I don't even understand how. It's not even possible.
All right. From Perimeter Collectibles, what is your take on the Golden Vault / eBay partnership, the fee structure, and the positive, negative impact on the hobby?
Do we have info on the fee structure?
I don't. I just like really quickly looked to see what even was the status of the Golden Vault right now. And if you go on the website, the Golden Vault is the PSA vault. That's everything links out to the PSA vault on the Golden site.
Right. It's like I don't think Golden's even going to have a vault, or they don't have one now, right?
They do not.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they do. So like, I'm just, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know here.
My understanding is that when it first launched, it was called the Golden Vault, and then it changed names. And then it changed names again, and it became the PSA Vault. And it was under the PSA company umbrella. Like, it was transferred. And then we had the eBay Vault, which was acquired by PSA, while Golden from Collectors umbrella was acquired by eBay.
Right.
So eBay owns Golden and no vault, and Collectors owns PSA, which has PSA's vault, and what used to be the eBay vault is now under the PSA vault.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so,
Golden.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, Perimeter says that Nat did a post on the fee structure about this on Twitter, and I think I found it. So Nat says, excited for eBay selling functionality to come to PSA and the PSA vault. First launch will be the ability to start an eBay auction for any item in your vault or from a PSA grading order, with PSA handling all logistics, shipping, and payments for you. And then he has a link. The link says that no sales tax is charged on graded cards bought online and shipped to the PSA vault. No storage fees. Take advantage of free safekeeping and security. Vault items are 100% insured with 24/7 security. Coming soon, easy listing with shipping and support handled. Don't ship anymore. That's what I'm able to like quickly see from this website.
And then the thing that I was going to say was that as of 3 days ago, the Golden Marketplace, which is their like fixed price marketplace, so they were selling cards through the vault, those have stopped coming through Card Ladder. They're not, so that's not even an option anymore, and we've removed it as a platform from our site.
Good. Yep. Good to know. All right, here we go. eBay rates. This is from PSA's website. Coming soon, competitive auction rates on the world's largest collectibles marketplace with the ability to list from the PSA vaults or immediately after PSA grading. For under $100, 16%, and then it just graduates down. And if you get up to $5,000 or more, 7%. So 16% for under $100, 14% up to $500. It just kind of graduates incrementally until you get to 5,000, and it's 7%.
Doesn't eBay's fees work like taxes, where it's 16% for the first $100, and then it, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, and it maxes out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
I don't think the ending dollar amount is the magical number. I think it, like, you pay 16% up to the first 100 of the sale, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
I also think one of the spirits of this question is, like, what sort of joint magic are we going to get from Golden and eBay joining forces? I think they're going to remain pretty separate in terms of how we function with them. Like, Golden's going to be focusing on the high-end auctions, and eBay is going to be doing the bulk. So I don't think there's necessarily going to be any, like, immediate powers of having them combined.
Yeah. And then I don't know if anybody's totally found a way to, like, create that oh so elusive end-to-end experience where you get the card, you send it to grading, and then just you click some buttons along the way and you sell it and you just make money. It'll be interesting to see if this is finally the bite of the apple that works.
Doesn't sound fun.
You forgot about the part where the guy has a big game.
Yeah. Exactly. So
All right. R.I.P. Anthony Edwards. Clippers.
all right.
Someone messaged me today and said at the Dallas show, you might be able to speak to this if you guys went, that the most requested to sell card coming to tables was Anthony Edwards by far. Like, people were trying to sell him at the last show. This is before they were down 0-2.
I can tell you that every night I see a ton of Anthony Edwards cards sell.
Yeah. His sales volumes on the stuff. Yeah, I see so many as well. All right. Last few questions here. JP Zidane1 wants to know, will Josh do more interviews on his YouTube page? It would be great to get Bob M. Track again.
That would be awesome. I need to add more time into the days. That would be better.
Yeah, exactly. We could just expand the day to 30 hours.
Can you do that, Christina? Can you look into that tomorrow?
Actually, this is actually interesting. I read an article this week that the days are actually getting shorter on Earth.
The day is such a scam.
So, like, the opposite is happening.
Great.
But I will call NASA and the JPL tomorrow and see what we can do to reverse this effect that some scientists are kind of worried about in regards to clocks and, like, timing. Yeah.
I'm also like super annoyed about travel. Like, I just don't like having to get to the airport and wait for, like, the slowest people on the planet to put their bag in a storage compartment above their heads, and it somehow takes them 45 minutes to sit down. Like, that's just driving me nuts. So either can you figure out teleportation? Add that to your list.
Nice.
I'll add that to my list, but I believe I've already talked to you about PJs, and yeah.
Okay. 2 questions left.
Step into a machine and be somewhere else.
Christina, this question is aimed at you, partially.
Oh, God.
Not in a bad way.
Okay. I still
oh, God.
I still have not found the neon green flavor. Is that the question?
It is not. From Victory Investments, I recently went back and listened to House of Jordan's podcast number 3 from 2019 when Chris and Christina were on a cross-country tour ripping wax and searching for Luca Prism silvers. In the episode, Chris and Christina shared their dilemma of ending the Luca search and just buying an available 9, like graded 9, or buying more hobby boxes. Looking back 5 years later, Chris and Christina, do you regret not ending the search and just buying the PSA 9 silver?
Nah.
No.
Did you guys get an orange?
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did.
What was the question?
Did we get an orange out of it?
Yeah, we got an orange out of 49, which when I first pulled, we thought was gold, and we got really excited. But that's a Panini color issue.
And then I sold it.
And then we graded it.
Then we graded it.
But then we used it. But we used it. We used it to get a tour of PWCC to sell it because PWCC wouldn't let us come to their facility. And then we were like, well, what if we sell a card with you?
That is what happened.
Yeah.
And we did sell it.
Because honestly, Victory, it's not about the card. Sometimes it's just about the journey, man.
All right. And the final question from Mike Pinkerton 50. Let's discuss Panini card quality control. Do you have any strong opinions on Panini's quality control?
I mean, it seems like a lot of people are getting PSA 10s these days from Panini, so it can't be that bad. Is there like a specific? Usually, it's like a specific set where like they're all having issues and people are upset about it, and that's what gets the headlines. But in general, I think they do a nice job.
I think that's a very fair take. All right, pick a title.
Is that 2 weeks in a row we made it through every question?
It is. It sure is. I didn't think we would do it today, but I think we were efficient. We were like Charles Barkley in the shower with his jersey on. All right. First up for a title, The Wrong Grain of Sand. I will eat a hat. Premature hyping bubble.
I hope you wrote one down about red circles around bat knobs.
That's pretty good right there, though. Red circles around bat knobs.
Because that's just like so confusing.
The president of the Trae Young Hater Island. Torture or jubilation? Kendrick Perkins doesn't know what win shares per 48 means.
He definitely does not.
We weren't noobs. Or was that what I meant to?
Yeah.
We weren't noobs anymore. Yeah, we weren't noobs anymore. Yeah. I'm anti-liquidity.
Just in general, I really enjoy that. Just as a funny little thing.
Yep, that's good. Baiting me to say something negative. We always do get like a half dozen questions to that effect.
I like that one.
You like that one?
Yeah.
We always get to the jock strap eventually.
Is there a jockstrap emoji? I don't think so.
I hope not. Give the hobby a little bit of credit. Just a little bit. That's pretty good. Just a little bit. All right. The day is such a scam. All right.
I take back what I said earlier that we weren't doing a good job. Those were some of the best ones we've ever had.
Those were pretty good, yeah. Those are pretty good. Some of the ones I like to give the hobby a little bit of credit. Christina like baiting me to say something negative. I'm anti-liquidity is good.
I like that. I like all three of those. Is that an underwear emoji?
I think it's a Speedo.
We can't. No, we can't. We can't do that one.
I like how excited Christina got about that one that she liked.
Baiting me to say something negative?
Yeah.
All right.
She had a little giggle about that one.
I don't know if we've ever given Christina a win on the titles.
I think we have. I remember having this conversation once where we gave her one. This will be the second time.
That's all right. Second time is good.
2 out of like 400 is pretty good.
Let's do that. Let's do that. All right. See you guys soon.
CY Card Ladder is the most respected sports card analytics app on the market. We have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history. Easily find recent comps and get a better estimate what your cards are worth. CY Card Ladder is the most trusted and the most reliable sports card analytics app on the market. We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder, constantly innovating. Try it for free. CY Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. Card Ladder, we're just getting started.